All right, today we're jumping into a really incredible story called A Frigid Winter's Night. It's a classic from the legendary Indian writer Munshi Premchand. And let me tell you, it's this powerful, gut-wrenching tale about poverty, about suffering, but also, and this is the crazy part, about a really unexpected kind of freedom.
So as we dive into this, I want you to keep one big question in the back of your mind. What if losing absolutely everything you've worked for, what if that actually felt like a relief, like freedom? It sounds kind of wild, I know, but trust me, that idea is at the very core of this whole story.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're introduced to our main character, a poor tenant farmer named Halku. And to put it simply, this guy is just completely trapped in this endless, crushing cycle of debt. Now, to really get what Halku is up against, you have to understand the setting. The original title is Pus Ki Rat, which translates to A Frigid Winter's Night. We're talking about those brutal winter months in North India, December, January, when the temperature just plummets, often way below freezing. And in the middle of all this, Halku has one single, vital job. He has to spend the entire night, every night, out in his open field guarding his crops. And right there, that's his core problem, isn't it? He has this duty, this absolute necessity to protect his harvest. I mean, it's his only way to make a living. But he has absolutely nothing, no real protection, against this brutal, honestly life-threatening cold. So just when you think things couldn't possibly get worse for him, they do. Right as he's staring down the barrel of these frigid nights, who shows up at his door? The landlord, of course. And he's there to collect a debt. Now, Halku and his wife Muni, they've managed to scrape together a little bit of money. And I mean a little bit. Just 3 rupees. But here's the thing. This money wasn't for paying off debts. Oh no. It was saved for one very specific, very important purpose. Yep, you heard that right. Their entire life savings, all 3 rupees, were meant to buy a single blanket. And we're not talking about some cozy luxury here. This was a tool for survival. It was the one thing that might help Halku get through those freezing nights out in the field without, dying. So his wife, Muni, she's the practical one in this relationship. She's pleading with him, right? She sees the reality of it all. She's like, how on earth are you going to survive those January nights out there with nothing? Just tell the landlord we'll pay him after the harvest, not right now. And this is such a critical point in the story. Halku is absolutely terrified. But what's he more afraid of? Is it freezing to death? No. It's the landlord's insults, the humiliation. That's what he can't bear. So he pressures Muni, and he gets her to hand over the money, their one and only hope for warmth. All right, so the money is gone, and we shift scenes to the fields. Halku heads out to face that brutal, bone-chilling night with no blanket, no real protection, but as it turns out, he's not completely alone. He has his dog, Jabra, his loyal companion who follows him right out into that freezing darkness. You could say Jabra is his partner in misery, the only living soul out there with him, sharing in his suffering. And what's so telling, so incredibly human, is that Halku talks to Jabra like he's another person. He pours out his heart to his dog, sharing his deepest frustrations about the injustice of it all. He says, we're the ones doing all the hard work, but someone else gets to enjoy the fruits of it. It's just this raw, heartbreaking moment of honesty.
Okay, so as the night wears on, the cold becomes just unbearable. It's sinking deep into his bones. But then Halku finds a little temporary escape. He scrapes together a pile of dry leaves, gets a small fire going, and for just a few wonderful moments, he and Jabra are playing, jumping over the little fire, and they completely forget how miserable they are.
But that little moment of warmth, that small bit of happiness, it can't last. And tragically, it's what leads directly to disaster. So the fire starts to die down. That intense, biting cold comes rushing back in. And then, out of the darkness, a herd of nilgai. These are big animals, kind of like large antelopes or blue bulls. They quietly wander into the field, and they start eating everything. And this right here is the tragic climax of the night. Jabra, the loyal dog, does his job. He starts barking like crazy, trying to warn Halku. But Halku, he's just frozen. He's so exhausted, so beaten down by the sheer cold, that the thought of leaving the last few dying embers of that fire, it feels physically impossible. He kind of rationalizes it, right? He tells himself, Jabra's got it. He convinces himself it's okay. And so wrapped in that tiny bit of lingering warmth, he just falls asleep. He sleeps while his entire harvest, his whole livelihood, is being destroyed just a few yards away. So the sun comes up the next morning, and it reveals a scene of just complete devastation. And this is where we get the story's really shocking and honestly powerful ending. Money shows up at the field, and she sees it. Everything is gone. The crops are totally ruined. She's devastated. She's angry. She's worried. She sees their whole future just wiped out. And she looks at Halku and asks him, "What are we going to do now? How are we going to survive this?" But Halku's response is, well, it's just astonishing. He's not panicking. He's not filled with despair. He actually looks content. And he says to her, "Well, at least I won't have to sleep out in the cold anymore." I mean, think about that. He has lost literally everything he worked for all year. But in that total loss, he's found something that he clearly values more: freedom. Freedom from the nightly torture of freezing in that field. His suffering had become so great, so unbearable, that losing everything actually feels like a win. And that takes us all the way back to that question I asked at the beginning. The story's final message is just so powerful. It suggests that when your suffering becomes so unbearable, so hopeless, sometimes even a total disaster can feel like freedom. It's a really chilling thought, but man, it's